Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we're super happy to have you here. And if you've been listening and enjoying for a while, I would be super grateful if you would please take a moment to give us a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the best and simplest ways to pay it forward and help others find the show so that they too can tap into the powerful perspectives and positive vibrations we are collectively emanating. The other unique and magical way to share this show is by sending any friends you think would benefit from listening to this podcast our Game with the Universe link at positivehead.com/game. Also listed in the show notes, which will serve them up a quote-unquote random episode when they click it. Just instruct them before clicking the link to close their eyes for a moment and sincerely ask the universe to cue up the episode that contains the insight and perspectives that they most need to hear at this point in their life journey, and then click to listen to whatever episode is synchronistically served up to them. I have heard time and time again from people about the incredible results they received playing the game. So just tell your friends magical results are guaranteed or their karma back. All you positive heads, welcome back to another episode. So happy to be here with you guys, as always. It is a pleasure and an honor to connect, share, grow, etc. I am going to read a chapter from Oneness today. You guys know I've been reading Oneness. If you've been listening for a while, you know I've been reading from the book Oneness for quite some time, usually on Fridays. I would make it my day to read a chapter, and ever since the lovely Alexa offered to make a P-Head Posse show on Fridays where it's all about you guys and your journeys and how the show's affected you and what you're doing with yourself and how you're living your life. I loved the idea so much. I've given her the reins on Friday, and so it's Thursday as I record now, so I figured, you know what, What's great about reading too is it's a little less prep, although I normally prep maybe 10, 15 minutes for each show. But when I'm reading a chapter from Oneness, it's, open a chapter. I literally do a little meditation. What chapter? You do a random number generator, see what chapters pops up. And that's the one I read from. Today, chapter 21. And yeah, with me prepping to go to Costa Rica here in a couple days, we're going to have guests all next week with Erica, Nixie Marie, Erica Middlemiss, and Alexa and Karis, who is also, all of which have been on the show as co-hosts and so forth before. And Erica ran the show actually the last time I was out of town. And so I love being able to give the reins over sometimes, especially as I, do more and more things. It's nice to include, it's a way to include everyone who's part of the, the soul fam, all the P-heads, getting involved in different ways. It's such a lovely thing for me. So I so appreciate the support and hope you guys are enjoying the variation as well. And yeah, as much as you love hearing my voice, it's nice to hear, especially a female voice sometimes, right? That's why a lot of times with co-hosts, I like to have, some female energy. And so, yeah, you're going to get a lot of that next week, which is wonderful. Let's see here. I'm going to read chapter 21. Oh, I know. I was starting to say earlier, Oneness, for those of you who aren't familiar, it's a book. If you look at the title, it's Oneness, the Teachings, received and transcribed by Rasha. And Rasha claims in 98 that she basically started the universal presence, referring to itself as oneness, would come through her and communicate the message in this book. As I always say about sort of received or transcribed, channeled material, however you want to refer to it, I'm really indifferent. I don't think it'd be any weirder that some non-physical entity come through a person than the fact that my personality is coming through this, this bio body bag, this avatar. And so, yeah, for me, what's important is what is the message? And the message in this book is just so inspirational. And I read it originally maybe 10 years or so ago. And I truly see it as the handbook for ascension. And that's what I believe is happening here on this planet. We're all waking up. We're remembering who and what we truly are. We're waking up to the ultimate nature of reality, that we're fractals, extensions of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things, right? And as you take that journey from, sleepy state, if you will, as humanity has been under the Maya, the illusion for some time, we now enter this new era of awakening where more and more people, the light bulb is going on. They're remembering who and what they truly are. As I always say on the show, there's nothing I can tell you that you don't already know. It's a matter of remembering what you've forgotten. We have amnesia. That's it. You're a divine being. You're God in drag, and you've forgotten yourself so that you can have the experience of remembering again. This is the game God plays throughout eternity. She is creative. She is clever. This is the game we play with ourselves. And now we're remembering who and what we truly are, coming into our power. As we go through that experience, there's a certain set of, everyone has their own unique journey, but there's also, certain things that you can kind of count on to some degree in one way, shape, or form. If I'm driving to, San Francisco, I'm probably going to see the Golden Gate Bridge if I drive around enough. It's one of those things. I may have different experiences, but there are certain landmarks and things that you can sort of expect to experience on your awakening journey. And for me, having read this book originally 10 plus years ago, it definitely has been the case and continues to be the case. And I love choosing a chapter randomly because you don't need to read it front to back. You certainly can, but just picking a random chapter and seeing what is meant to come through on that day, doing a little meditation. And, I like to play with everything in that, as much synchronicity as I can allow in to merge with and play with my higher self, or spirit guides, whatever, God, source, whatever you want to call it. I like to do that. It's the same thing I like to do with the show episodes, telling people, I actually just changed the Instagram page, which is positive_head, by the way, if you're not following us on Instagram. Oh, and also the Positive Heads Facebook group. If you're not on there, that's a wonderful place where listeners are connecting, sharing, opening up. It's private, so you can get personal if you want and not worry about the rest of Facebook seeing it. But anyway, what I was saying is I just posted on the Instagram page at the top, choose a number between 1 and 620 or whatever the number of episodes. Now go listen to that episode. That is a message from your higher self. And that's a fun way to play with the show and play with us co-creating the experience together. It involves you. It involves me. It involves your higher self. It involves, all these extensions and reflections of one another to deliver something that is timely for you, right? And it works every time, which is magical. And it's a great way also to encourage other people, engage other people who you think would benefit from the show. Tell them to choose a number and then tell them to go listen, between 1 and the number of episodes, at that time, which is changing, every week, but, and then have them go listen to it. It's a good way to engage them. But okay, enough about all that. Let's see here. Before I do jump into reading the chapter for today, which is chapter 21 of Oneness, I would like to read a review on iTunes. You guys know I love my iTunes reviews. Not only do they help us to reach new people, but they definitely fuel my fire to continue this labor of love. And this one was written by Holistic Human. Holistic Human said, "You will never be the same. Thank you, Brandon, and everyone else who makes this podcast possible. I've always been a science nut. I'll believe it when I see it type," with a laughy face, and a head case who stumbled upon my spiritual journey about 9 months ago. I've been listening to Positive Head podcast for only a few months, and I went from a, wow, this is synchronicity thing is for real, to, well, my life all of a sudden is one big synchronistic event. And I can't be more grateful for this podcast that helped me to open my eyes to the reality and truth within me, for answering all the questions I've ever had but never asked. If you are a head case like myself and ever in doubt, you probably are, just listen to the Positive Ed podcast all day for a few days straight. You'll never be the same. Thank you for taking the time to review Holistic Human. And the synchronicity of your message makes me feel in this moment that I should answer a question that I received via Facebook Messenger just this morning. And I actually responded to the person Avery, and it was in regards to this very topic. And so because you synchronistically are talking about the synchronicity and what it all means, I feel like I should maybe take a moment and just read Avery's question, because there must be other people out there who are dealing with what Avery is dealing with in regards to this. As you come online, as you start to wake up, synchronicities get wild, right? You guys hear mine all the time, where there's layers and layers of the onion, where I'm just like, even in 2018, it's just amplified tremendously. And it can sometimes be scary or overwhelming, or, what does it all mean? And I'm going to read my interaction or the question here from Avery. She said, "Hi, Brandon. I hear so much about the synchronicities that surround your life on your podcast. Lately, the last couple of weeks, I've been overwhelmed with the amount of synchronistic numbers that keep showing up in my existence, and I'm so confused what it all means. I'm new on my spiritual journey, and I fear I'm receiving these messages, and I'm not going to understand the meaning and pass an opportunity by, or it's warning me of something, and I'm just not able to receive the message." And she goes on to kind of say what they are. It's a lot of number synchronicities, like a lot of people will see. And so she's scared. She's concerned. She's going to miss something. And, what I said to her is, look, don't overthink it. You're on the path. You're seeing signposts, like a sign letting you know you're on the right road. Kind of like we talked about earlier, right? With San Francisco. Any deeper meaning is the meaning you create it to mean. You're the creator. Relax about it. Don't take it so seriously. You're always right on time and right where you need to be. Keep it light. And that's really that's such an important piece, guys. You're not going to miss anything. The source is infinite. Think about the idea of God in general, right? It is the Alpha, the Omega. It is all. It can do all things. It is all things. It never runs out of creative ways to recreate and bring experience to you that you're ready for. You're not going to miss any boat. It's a very, very, very big boat that you're catching. So relax. Remember, you give things meaning, by what your belief creates reality. Abracadabra. As I speak, I create. So if you say, oh my gosh, I'm missing something, something's wrong, something's off, guess what? As I speak, I create. Or if you say, oh, wow, these are signposts on the road. And sometimes these synchronicities are just, what I've learned is a lot of times it's just threads showing the connectivity of all the things that are sort of coming into your life. Because if it's coming into your life out of 7 billion people on the planet, and you're bumping up against anyone, it's a close reflection on the family tree, if you will, right? Source, think of it as a tree. You're on a particular branch, a leaf on this giant tree, and these are leaves next to you that are blowing into your world. They're coming into your field. And a lot of times you're just seeing reflections of the connectivity, and it's no more than that. It's like, hey, you're noticing the connections, and that means your awareness has expanded, and that is a good sign. That is always a good sign. Sometimes you're going to get a sign that's pointing you or giving you an answer. Sometimes it's just, once again, this connectivity. But most importantly, keep it light. Don't take it too serious. Don't worry about it. Don't bring stress to it. Don't bring anxiety to it. You are so loved, supported, and cared for by Source, by Higher Self. It's infinite, the amount of love and support that you have. So relax into it. You're in eternity now. You're literally floating in eternity. Time is an illusion. We've proved that. There is no time. You are in the eternal now. You'll always be in the now, and you'll always be getting whatever you need next that perfectly serves you. Trust that. Move into that. Have faith in that. And have fun with the signs. Don't let them get twisted into something scary. Okay. So now that we took that little detour, let's move into reading the chapter for today. This is Oneness by Rasha, chapter 21. And the title of the chapters, there's usually a few sentences describing what you're going to read within that chapter. And it's Attaining True Freedom from Attachment, How You Undermine Your Own Best Intentions Vibrationally, Integrating Parallel Aspects of Self into the Composite of Your Identity. Many will venture forth in the times at hand, marginally aware of the magnitude of the changes that are transpiring within the cellular structure of those who are able to sustain physical form. And these beings will be living testimony to the difficulties and challenges posed by partial understanding of the nature of these changes. Many will pay lip service to the concept of ascension without fully understanding that the very essence of the concept demands that one take full responsibility for every aspect of one's life. Those who approach these times in the conditions of intensifying vibration with passive acceptance of the theoretical principles alone will only lengthen the duration of the transitional period. A common distortion of the concept of ascension would be to assume, passively, that ascension within a given time frame is a guaranteed outcome regardless of personal choices. Nothing could be further from the truth. Okay, this is interesting because I'm just saying, I was just saying to you guys, like, no matter what, you're going to arrive. So I'm interested to seeing what she goes on to say here because, yeah, I stand by that. I think ultimately you will arrive. That being said, I bet she's talking about in this physical incarnation, in this lifetime. I was really speaking from ultimately you can't lose. If you have 100 lives where you screw it up and don't really get to where you wanted to go from one level of kind of viewing things, you can't miss because you have eternity to figure it out. Okay, that's probably it. Okay, let's look. Let's see what she says. The time frame in this particular transition, above and beyond any in your personal history, requires total immersion in the process to complete the exercise under optimum conditions. Those who approach these times with the assumption that they will be swept along effortlessly in the momentum at hand are undermining the potential progress they could be achieving and creating for themselves prolonged conditions of adversity. Ultimately, all will make the transition and ascend interdimensionally. And there we have it. I am redeemed. But there is no guarantee that this will occur in this lifetime or even the next on an individual basis. Got him. All right. There is no guarantee that one will make the shift in the company of kindred companions who share your understandings of these times. For the process itself is conceived in timelessness. And the only schedule at hand is the one custom made for you by your own choices. Those who have defaulted in their efforts to interact with the energies and effect optimum change will have the experience of watching life seemingly pass them by. They will not understand why the lives of others appear to be transformed while their circumstances continue to stagnate. For the journey demands active participation. There are no free rides to the destination that lies ahead. Your own willingness to interact with the prompts that materialize for you in the form of life experience serves to determine how much repetition is required to create crystalline awareness for you of the nature of your personal process. Avoiding the issues being triggered by life circumstances only necessitates even stronger variations on a given theme. Once the common thread has been identified and attachment to forcing a result has been released, it is no longer necessary or technically possible to continue to experience examples of that theme. The energy charge responsible for creating those conditions would have been released and would not be present to magnetize that kind of experience. As you peel back the layers of conditioning that serve to create your experience of life, you serve to lighten the levels of density that keep you tethered to diminished levels of reality. And having made great strides in that respect, it often comes as a shock to discover that you appear to be back in the same movie that you presumed had been completed. It is indeed possible that you had completed the lesson in question and had triumphed over the conditioned reflexes that habitually ensnared you throughout the experience of this lifetime. Yet one factor has been added to the equation. You are in all likelihood not the same you as you were. You have evolved into a more complex variation of the theme you consider to be you. For as you rise to the fullness of your perspective on the overview of your life and ascend to subtle variations in level as you approach the interdimensional threshold, you will have integrated parallel aspects of your energetic sum totality into the focus that you consider to be you. All aspects of your selfhood must be energetically present in order for the interdimensional shift to occur, and all must be integrated sequentially in that effort. Aspects of self who are living what would be considered to be simultaneous lifetimes, focused on subtle variations on your life theme, are able to merge with you energetically once certain levels of clarity are reached. Often there may be minor variations in vibration amongst those aspects of self, and residual energetic charges carried by any aspect of the composite are capable of creating the conditions energetically for a repetition of old scenarios. It is not necessarily an indication of a lack of work on your own part to suddenly be faced with old baggage on a new leg of the journey. It is a likely indication of a continuing pattern of completion in which you have integrated parallel aspects of self into the energetic whole. The reemergence of testing conditions can be an indication of the reinforcement of lessons that have indeed been mastered. The ease with which such scenarios are sidestepped serve as your indication of the growth you have achieved in key areas of your life's work. And your growing sense of comfort with the issues that have traditionally been the most unsettling is your indication of the escalating degree of complexity of the focus of consciousness you consider to be you. There is no need, once the process is underway, to retrace your steps and rehash old dramas in an effort to cull out key understandings that have been identified. Know that the sense of peace that you now experience with themes that were once your undoing is your barometer of the level of completion you have attained. Awareness of the overriding life lessons set the stage for an air of detachment to be cultivated with regard to those issues. And once distancing from the energetic hooks programmed into such scenarios has been attained, one is able to adopt a sense of amusement when predictable hooks appear and beckon to you to engage. For at that stage, the drama itself is essentially diffused by virtue of the overview attained. And from that vantage point, the episode can be seen as a symbolic representation of the life theme that it truly is. Your cue to the stabilization of the energies surrounding certain issues and the successful integration of your multifaceted aspects of self would be the non-emergence of predictable dramas in your life script. Ultimately, when the energy charge has been released completely, you can anticipate experiencing a profound sense of well-being that permeates your life. Suddenly, there is a rarefied perspective on all that transpires and an overriding sense of detachment from the details of the dramas of daily life. From that vantage point, the outcomes of classic conflict are unimportant, and that stance reinforces your ability to sustain the sense of freedom that you have begun to experience. True freedom from attachment is more than merely a mindset and words that it has become fashionable to mouth in certain circles. Freedom is the ultimate goal towards which you are striving as you process the final stages of your life's work. And the degree to which it is attained is measured by the level of comfort or discomfort you manifest as life experience. A life script crammed full of complexity and challenge is indicative of an individual who is still very much in the grasp of life's circumstances, albeit of his or her own creation. Liberation from conditioned adherence to patterns of response is only possible when one ceases to be affected by the outcome of interpersonal encounters. Real quick, I want to just throw in there, that was something that Connor Evans threw out when he was on the show co-hosting a few weeks back, a month or so back, 2 months back maybe. And it stuck out and it stuck with me. It's like, you know, how enlightened you are isn't how much yoga you do or how many books you read or how much you preach about it or talk about it. Because a lot of people, of course, are tuning into this and really getting excited. But really where you're at in your progress is best sort of calculated by looking at how, as this just said here, how you deal with things that don't go your way, right? I'm going to read the last line again, and then I'll continue. Liberation from conditioned adherence to patterns of response is only possible when one ceases to be affected by the outcome of interpersonal encounters. When one releases attachment to outcome, one liberates oneself from the stranglehold that type of encounter has on one's life and from one's tendency toward the manifestation of adverse results. The state of being into which one evolves as one bridges the gap between dimensions is one in which simplicity is prized over achievement for achievement's sake. One begins to question the work ethic with which one was conditioned in this lifetime, which reinforced the concept of success at all costs. Such an outlook is based upon a dependency on the feedback of others, rather than a sense of well-being that emanates from within. As such, looking external to source helped condition you to expect to sacrifice your heart's desire in an effort to please others. The disharmony created by working at cross purposes with your own inner truth sets the stage for the energetic sabotage of your own best efforts. The more you try to manifest a result through your manipulation of the physical elements of your equation, the further you distance yourself vibrationally from the natural sense of balance that would manifest those very results. The key to maximizing the effort you do put forth toward achieving a designated end lies not in how cleverly you assess what would be required to bring an effort to fruition, but rather in the level to which you are able to detach from the need to mastermind the process. Man, that one has been huge unfolding in my own life, and it's such a relief to not care in the best kind of way and to just let it all go and have your aim, have your intention, and set it out with transparency and realizing you're untouchable. You need nothing to happen, and it will happen exactly as it should. Okay, onward. The energy underlying that effort is not affected by how thoroughly you troubleshoot and anticipate the pitfalls that could undermine your result. Those efforts merely necessitate the creation of parallel pitfalls that would be magnetized to your effort energetically. And you will no doubt find it extremely frustrating to have your plans undermined repeatedly despite the thoroughness of your preparation for success. What often has not been addressed in such cases is the energy in the form of emotion which accompanies the effort. When one approaches any effort to manifest a given result, the intent underlying the effort sets the stage for bringing it through to fruition. When one's approach is that of joyous anticipation of the natural result of one's effort, the manifestations occurs with ease and the process is uneventful. However, when one approaches an effort anticipating difficulty and projects one's intent to circumvent it by mentally focusing on all the things that could go wrong, one sets the stage for those very kinds of difficulties to occur. It cannot be otherwise, for your mental focus creates your reality. The degree of adversity you attempt to second guess determines the amount of resistance you manifest to achieving your goal. Approaching the effort with the assumption that the highest possible result is automatically forthcoming sets the stage for your efforts to be well rewarded. The shift is subtle, but the result is powerful, for it is based on loving trust of self to come through with the desired result rather than an underlying fear of sabotage. One creates with ease what is approached with the energy of joy. When one delights in the act of creation and brings the energy of joy to the effort itself, the result is blessed with the vibrational foundation upon which manifestation is based. When the focus of one's efforts is built upon a foundation of resentment, those efforts carry the vibration that will magnetize to them the resistance that will undermine them. When one performs one's work with an attitude of hating the job, the stage is set for the manifestation of situations that make that job seem even more unpleasant. By shifting one's energy, even in subtle ways, the overall work environment can be transformed into one in which the efforts of all are well rewarded. And the level of satisfaction one anticipates as a result of those efforts produces that very result. Victim consciousness takes many forms. One is often unaware of the subtle variations on this theme and the insidious ways it can undermine hopes and dreams. Approaching any effort with the assumption that outside factors are waiting in the wings to quash it sets the stage for that result to manifest. The anticipation of possible setbacks is based on an underlying fear of being out of control. Occurrences do not just happen. Everything is created energetically by you, and the power to reverse an adverse history of disappointments is your birthright. Fear of scarcity is a common factor that undermines the best efforts of many who habitually experience a thwarting of those efforts. Abundance is an option that has been programmed into the experience of life. The assumption that there is not enough or that there can never be enough, despite one's cleverness and fortitude, virtually guarantees that result. Whereas the assumption that there will naturally be enough, be it time, money, resources, or whatever is perceived to be required to meet one's needs, produces that very abundance. You are placed here in this time-space continuum by your very own highest intent, equipped with all the resources necessary to create a life of joy and of plenty. Loving trust of oneself to provide what is needed helps to create the circumstances through which that result is virtually guaranteed. These times are marked by radical reversals in the patterns that have been established in all areas of one's life. As one begins to grasp the ramifications of the concept of self-empowerment as it relates to the creation of one's reality, one is able to take responsibility for all of it. The need to justify one's actions in terms of the expectations of others begins to take a backseat to the priorities that emanate from within. And honoring one's own inner truth with regard to what is needed and desired takes precedence over cultural conditioning and the expectations and demands of others. Your obligation on this journey is ultimately to the recognition and implementation of your own true choices, and the loving intent with which you infuse all choices establishes the basis for the gratification of your heart's desires. The patience with which you grace yourself during this process will go a long way toward modifying the discomfort many will experience. For time and practice is needed to integrate the new understandings and shift conditioned patterns of response. Once you recognize the subtleties of the process of mastering the world as you are creating it to be, the delight in creating your reality as you would like it to be begins to be instilled. These times are about embracing the power with which you have been blessed and relinquishing the remnants of limitations and fear that result in separation from self. The wholeness toward which you strive energetically fuels the impetus toward radical change that marks this phase of this lifetime. Recognizing the patterns of self-defeating response and releasing those tendencies is the task at hand. For there's truly no limit to what can be created and experienced in this lifetime, and no limit to the joy to be experienced when one unites in oneness with oneself. And that concludes chapter 21. That was epic and so insightful and beautiful, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. And with that being said, I am off. I am off to prepare for Envision Festival, shooting some video footage that will be the pilot for Optimistic, and having a great time doing it, adventuring. Little break from the work default world is needed. Always make time, right? We're masters of space and time. We're learning to create abundance, whether it be time, money, all of those things with our beliefs about it. Look at the words you're using. Look at what you're saying. Look at what you're feeling all the time, and start rewriting the way you say things, the way you feel things, so that you can create more of what you want to see in your world. With that being said, I love you all so much. I'm going to miss you, but I'll be with you in spirit, and all the lovely ladies running the show while I'm gone will definitely be bringing their own unique vibration and wisdom, and I hope you guys thoroughly enjoy it. With that being said, I do have an awesome track to leave you guys with as I head out into the wild jungles of Costa Rica. The song is called Wild, and the song is Hideouts. Hope you enjoy. Until next time, journey well. Love you all.